So in this video, which I want to say is video 5, we are tackling the minor scale formula. So in the past video the previous video, we did the major scales, and we utilized this formula even without the piano to create all the notes. We know that we have the musical alphabet that has A through G, and then it starts again at A. We added some sharps and we added some flat notes to that as well. And so we ended up with 12 possible notes that are accessible to us to create these scales. We're going to focus on each one of those names and utilizing them as a minor scale instead of the major. And I know that's kind of repetitive, but just for the sake of that repetition and blocking out the understanding of what's the difference. C has a minor scale associated with it, but the C major scale, just to refresh, doesn't have any sharps or any flats. There's another scale that looks like this that doesn't have any sharps or any flats, but it is a minor scale. We've introduced it several times before, and that is the A minor scale. It has 0 sharps, 0 flats in it. Zero sharps, 0 flats. These are considered relative scales. And what a relative scale is a scale that uses the same notes but is a different type of scale. So in this case, you can see that our types are the major and minor, and usually we call those a quality. What is the quality of the scale? Is it major or is it minor? And in this case, because both of them have 0 sharps, 0 flats, and they use the exact same notes, they just start in different positions. So if I was to play, and I've done it in previous videos, play those two scales together, you see on the piano that I don't use any black keys. So play C this time in my right hand, A in my left hand. See, I didn't use any of the white keys or black keys. Even if I decide to swap hands, or swap the notes in the hands and play A, I guess I played it here, A in my left hand, and C in my right hand. There's no sharps, no flats. And that's because they're relative. They're essentially the same, just starting in different positions. If you look at the key of C, and this is important because it will help you understand scale positions a little bit better too. If you look at the key of C, remember C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, and we're going to write our numbers. It goes at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see that we have C in the first position, and we have A in our 6th position. If I was to write, not if, because I'm going to do it, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, we can see that the notes swap positions. We've got A in our first position now, but C is in our 3rd position. Same notes, same thought process for how we play them, but they sound completely different because of the fact that we swapped the formulas that we use, and the notes that we're starting on have swapped position. Still 0 sharps, still 0 flats. So we want to keep that in mind because for every major scale that we play, there's a minor scale that uses the same notes as the major scale. Or if we're in a minor scale, there's a major scale that uses the same notes that we played for that minor scale. Now, let's look at a few more of the minor scales and go through that. I'm going to put back up here that funky little diagram that I used before. A flat, D flat, G flat, F sharp, E, A, G, and G. I wrote that kind of quickly. But there are 0 sharps and flats in that one. Put my flats in here. Put my sharps. Put my sharps over here. There are 0 flats and sharps in key C. And subsequently, I know, well, let's say how I write that, because that also swaps a little bit too. But there are 0 sharps and flats in that one. And I'm aware that there are flats and sharps on this side, flats or sharps on that side. Right? So there's 0 on that one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm writing my 6 down there on the bottom to tell me that that one has 6 sharps on that side, 6 flats on that side, based on their name. So using this formula, if I thought about the major scale, we can see the difference between where the whole steps and the half steps change. So you can see that the half steps and the whole steps are different in this minor scale, the minor formula, than they are in the major formula. Now, that's probably a lot of information all at one time. It's okay. We're about to dissect that. Using C, for example, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, we know that this is a major scale because it has no sharps, no flats, and we keep saying that over and over again for repetition. But now we're about to change that using the minor scale. So if nothing else, I know that this minor scale has to start on C, because I said that we were in the key of C minor, which means it also must end in using the note C. The alphabet stays the same, but some of those notes get lowered. This one is a little bit odd because this little diagram of mine actually shifts too, since this applies to majors. Let me establish that first. That applies to majors. There is a way to rotate the scale, or rotate the diagram, so that it produces the minor scales. The easiest way to think about the scale in order to get that minor, so that you don't have to memorize shifting or rotating this entire diagram, is each scale, each formula has some sort of position to it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 again. This is the major positions. When we go to C minor and we're using our minor scale formula, these positions change as well. So now we've got 1, 2. I already know that the formula has a flat 3, 4, I'm thinking ahead, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then we go back to the first one. So because we did our major scale already, I can easily go in here and look and know that my minor formula, right here, that my minor formula looks different. I've got a flat 3rd note, a flat 6th note, and a flat 7th note. So if I follow the formula and think about the number position, I go C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a half step. So I need to lower that, and guess what? There's the third position, there's a flat note, and there's a flat note. So now I go E flat to F, which is a whole step, and we needed that. We need F to G, which is a whole step, and that's position 4 and position 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G to A looks like the major scale, but we need a flat 6, so I've got to lower that A a half step. So now I got an A flat, and then I need a whole step after that, A flat to B flat, but A flat to B is not bad. So I go back to my positions and my minor formula, and it says that I need a whole step right there, and that my whole step has to be a flat 7. So if I look at my major scale, I see that I've got A to B is a whole step, so that's cool, but that note's not flat, so something else is wrong. That's if you're comparing the two. If I look at this, I see that I've got no flat, or no flat here at all. So now it tells me position 7 needs to be flat. So now I've got my entire minor scale. I know that's a lot to dissect in terms of how you compare them, but the easiest way to remember all of this to create all your major scales is take the major scale, lower the third position by a half step, lower the 6th position by a half step, and lower the 7th position by a half step. So no matter what scale we choose, if we do the major scale, find the 3rd note, the 6th note, and the 7th note, and lower them by a half step. And then you'll always get the minor scale. So let's go back to an easier one, and easier one is probably, let's go with G, right? G. So you remember G was, let's erase it and show you at the same time. So we had G major, we're trying to find G minor. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Now remember, we can do all of this without ever used the piano, using any other instrument, but of course you can hear the difference. So we remember from our major scales, because we've now learned them at this point, that G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G are the notes available to us in our major scale. So now, instead of going through the whole process of figuring out your formula to create the actual scale, all we have to do is look at it and see what's different in our number positions. So we know that we need a flat 3, a flat 6, and a flat 7 position. So we're going to go to G, right? Those need to be the same, no change. A is the same, no change. We got to B, and we lowered it a half step, so now we got B flat. C is the same for 4 position, 5, we got a D. We can't write E because that's the 6th position, so we need a flat 6. That gives us E flat. The 7 is F sharp, and this is where that rule about the sharps and the flats gets a little bit strange. In that position for E and F, we're not going to call that F flat because we're only lowering this note by a half step. The half step from F sharp down is F. So now this becomes a natural note. So when we talked about the chromatic scale and the rest of the notes in the scales, I wrote this little symbol on our board up here. This is the natural sign. That means that this note has not been lowered or it has not been raised. It is just one of the pitches from the regular musical alphabet. So it has no alterations. If I do a flat symbol, that note is lowered a half step from the position that it's in. Sorry, fell down. And if I do a sharp, that note is raised a half step from the position that it's in. And then, of course, to complete this, we're going to do G. The reason why notating that there's a natural, flat, or a sharp is important is because sometimes when we're playing through a scale and you end up with those inharmonics or those situations where there's no black key in between it, you know how to differentiate whether it's sharp, flat, and where that note actually sits in this. So if we play the G major scale, actually I put that here. That's our major sound, and then we move to our G minor scale, where we had our flat 3, our flat 6, and our flat 7. It looks different. That's our flat 3, C, D, A flat, F, and then G. That sounds like a complete scale. So again, here's the differences between the major scale and the minor scale without me talking over it. This position doesn't always mean that it's going to be natural. That's just what happened in the case of our minor scale formula and the difference between the major scale and the minor scale. For G, if we change that, let's use C instead. I should have kept my number positions here. Rewrite those here. If we swap to C and make a C minor scale, you're going to see something different happen. C. We don't have to go through that process to look through those anymore because all we know now is that we're just changing the positions. So I can write the same thing, and now let's just go change. Let's go change the positions. So I need an E flat, I need an A flat, and I need a B flat. Remember when we looked at G, we had a natural note there, which became F. Well, now it's changed because a half step down from the key of B, or the note B, is B flat. So it's just as simple to play C major scale and then move into the C minor scale with the flat 3, the flat 6, and the flat 7, or E flat, A flat, and B flat. And that is how we tell the difference and make the minor scales. So take every major scale, lower the 3rd position, the 6th position, and the 7th position, and you now have all the major scales and all the minor scales that you need.